by? Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
McGinnis? Here. Belazovic? Here. Ridley?
Here.
Fisher? Here. Waldron?
Here.
Okay. Item 4, informational hearing on the streetscapes. Is Mr. Nyberg here? We're having an informational hearing on our streetscapes. This is part of a statutory requirement to go for bond. I can give you the background. It's a community facilities loan from USDA Rural Development for somewhere between 1 and 1 million. We have $300,000 in federal money for the pavement, and that's allowed us to add lights to the project. Trying to think if there's anything else that, as you know, it'll start at the bridge and go all the way to the Pulte corner across from Citizens Bank. I think that's about 3,700 feet, and it's being funded by the DDA, tax increment financing. We receive somewhere in the neighborhood of $68,000 to $70,000 a year from the county in captured tax increment financing. So that's how we'll pay it off. It'll be somewhere between 30 and 40 years, we hope. We'll see what they allow us to go, but we feel we have enough to do the project. Are there any questions?
How much was the loan again?
Between 1 and 1 million.
Between the 1.1?
1 million and 1.1 million.
Okay.
Dan, do you have anything to add to that?
No.
That you can think of? Dan is the chair of DDA, so we are waiting to hear from AT&T about moving our posts. That's been going on for quite some time.
The only other thing is the paperwork's been filed with MDOT.
Right.
So for the additional $300,000, so we can get started on that. Hopefully we'll have plans finalized by September.
Robert?
How much do you have saved already for it?
You remember, Dan, it's in excess, close to 300,000.
Yeah,
It's between 2 and 300,000.
So we have 300 and...
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't know the exact
No,
number.
okay.
Because I think we're gonna have to keep a fund for other projects that we have to go, so we can't deplete that fund all the way.
But you've been holding on to funds for a long time.
Yeah. Questions? Move that we close the public hearing regarding the streetscapes.
Support.
All in favor? Minutes of the April meeting, amended Spence.
There's a few of them in there, and actually the one I'll need to collect from the closed session. You've got
And then April 2nd.
April and May 1st. You should have one like that too.
If there's no changes to any of those, I would make a motion to accept them all.
Motions of the minutes are accepted as written. The agenda,
Put a second on that last, Baldwin moved to, oh, Baldwin, I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay.
Spence.
Mm,
Okay,
Zimmer.
all in favor of accepting the minutes as written? I'm just kidding, sorry.
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Sue adopts or moves, do we have a support? Bobby supports, all in favor? Okay, item number 7, DeYoung et al. Versus Master Francesco et al. Resolution. Mr. White from Alpena, would you please state your name?
I will. Or at least the other half of it.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Daniel White. I'm here on behalf of the township. I've been representing the,
Are there any more agendas?
oh, okay, one more. I've been representing the township in the seemingly endless litigation involving the Lake Boulevard issue on Bird Lake. The litigation has reached the point now where there's been a concerted effort to settle the matter through what would amount to a consent judgment, to which all of the parties, as represented by their lawyers, would agree. I won't give it great detail, but the essence of this proposed consent judgment would do the following. It would amend the plat in certain ways, which would include the abandonment of Lake Boulevard and the creation of a private park at what the agreement calls the foot of Lake Boulevard, down near the circle.
At Mac.
If I said Lake Boulevard, I meant Mac.
Correct.
And that private park would then be for the exclusive usage of a number of lot owners on Mac Avenue, plus one additional person up at the corner of the subdivision. The public agencies involved in the litigation have to respond to this, because for the agreement to go through, the road commission would have to abandon its interest in the affected areas. And the road commission would have to vacate any possible interest it had as well, under a different statute. The road commission met back in March, late March. And frankly, I was sort of anticipating that the road commission was going to make a decision that was made in the context of the litigation, that any abandonment that it would, if it was going to abandon, it would do so as part of the settlement, almost conditioned on the settlement. Well, that turned out not to be the case. The road commission unconditionally, without any qualification whatsoever, abandoned Lake Boulevard and the foot of Mac. That,
And Pine Street also.
and Pine Street, right. There's a statute, and I've provided you that information, that talks about what happens in the event of such an unqualified abandonment. You needed to know what the township's position should be, or what the township should do in view of this rather unexpected event. And so I provided you that information. There's a statute that says essentially where you have roads which meet at lakes or rivers, as is the case here, the township is second in line. And so you now face a situation where you need to decide what you're going to do in view of this unqualified abandonment of these roads by the road commission. That in turn affects the way you're going to deal with the proposed consent judgment. If you decide, as did the road commission, that you do not wish to assume the public interest in these roadways, and I'll stop right now and say I don't think that the Lake Boulevard stretch south of Mac is in play. I don't think. That's certainly not my view. I don't think it's your view. It's nobody's view. I think as far as the stretch of Lake Boulevard in front of DeYoung's, there's just no semblance of a public interest there. But now you need to decide whether you're going to follow in the footsteps of the road commission and step away from any assumption of the public role over these roads. And if you did that, that would then lead you to accept the consent judgment, and the litigation would be ended on that basis. Lake Boulevard in front of the Harlesses and the DeYoungs would be abandoned. There would be created this private park at the foot of the neck. On the other hand, if you decided to accept the baton here as to these roads, Lake Boulevard, north of Mac, and the foot of Mac, then you would explicitly, in fact, be rejecting the proposed consent judgment. And so that's where you stand tonight. I can tell you that the court is expecting an answer. We had a pretrial conference with the court by phone, and the judge knows that you're meeting tonight and kind of wants word within the next couple of days as to exactly where things stand. Hope that gives you I put the ball on the tee for you.
And then what is the next step? If we don't abandon?
If you decide tonight to not abandon, then I would think that you would probably end up passing a couple of motions. The first motion would be to accept the transfer of ownership or interest from the road commission under the statute. That would be the first one. Then in a second motion, you would indicate that having accepted that public interest, that you were rejecting the opportunity to vacate your interest in those roads as part of the consent judgment. And then at that point, I would so inform the court, and it would be likely that the attorneys would want to maybe another pretrial or status conference to so that the litigation can get back on track. Right now, the litigation is at a close. It's closed. The judge would be now making a decision. But the judge would have to know this new information to make the decision. So that's what we would be doing.
Does the resolutions or the motions have language in there addressing the fact that we don't have any interest in Lake and Pine?
Yes, well, I've prepared a resolution for you both ways. I've got a resolution for you if you decide to decline to take over and you want to go with the settlement. And if I've got another resolution if you do accept, and it does not reference in your acceptance either Pine or Lake Boulevard south of Mac.
Well, I guess I'd like to address it in kind of reverse order of what you stated, because I have no interest or never have had any interest in the proposed settlement. I am not in favor of creating a private park out of a road end that's owned by the public. And I am not in favor of doing anything different with the property in front of the Harlesses. As far as I was concerned, that was settled back in the 90s by lawsuit action, and I don't know why that has changed. So if I take it from that standpoint, then I would come to the conclusion that the township should not abandon their interest in the roads. reject the settlement as present. I mean, obviously, if we don't abandon the roads, we're rejecting the settlement. And we should work toward a new settlement that maybe has our interests better covered.
Would you then end up having to cover the cost of the maintenance of the road out of the township?
It's a road end. It's
No, but I mean,
the part that the
if
county
it's
had.
private, I think the way he's putting it, the county isn't gonna plow that road or nothing.
No, this is just the last little bit of, this is just half a lake. That road end is used considerably in the winter. Not as much in the summer, but it's one of the better accesses that there is for snowmobiles. And, you know,
That would hurt the
That's-
township.
Dan, your motions don't talk about rejecting the abandonment. It talks about accepting the interest, the road commission's interest.
Yes, but I don't include in the acceptance Pine or Lake Boulevard south of Mac,
should we,
because you don't have any interest in those as far as I know.
Because the board abandoned that
Sure.
years ago.
Isn't, so Pine is not part of the, you're talking about Pine in front of the DeYoungs?
It's behind
Lake-
the Youngs.
It's behind theirs? Okay.
Yeah, to the east of
Okay, so there's no other, Pine Street doesn't continue on past that?
As far as I know, there's something called Pine Lakes Boulevard, is that, and that's private. As far as I know, Pine Street
Oh, is that that little
doesn't exist.
strip that goes between Holden?
well, there used to be a little two-track in there right behind where the house is years
Right
ago,
there.
when it
Yeah.
was the cottages,
Where
and
the
everybody
cottages
drove
were.
back and forth through.
That's long gone.
Yeah, it's been gone for years, so that's no longer there. So, I guess my only question is, I mean, should we not be accepting interest in all of it at this time until we come up with a new settlement and then go from there? Or should we just ignore those?
I would ignore something that doesn't exist.
Okay. And, I mean, my feeling's always been that, I was on the board when that was abandoned the first time. And I think that was the intent of the board. I think that it was presented by our attorney that we had no interest in it and that it was underwater, and I don't think it would be fair to change our position on that. I mean, I think we abandoned it in good faith, and they've used it in good faith since then, so I don't have a problem with that.
And I'm not comfortable with that agreement, that there's nothing in there that it's gonna definitely go through. The planning commission, this has never been done before.
The private
Yeah.
beach.
The
Yeah.
private beach,
Oh, yeah.
that's not gonna get approved.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'm not in favor of creating a private park out of a public piece anyway, so.
Dan, do you have that, motion?
Are we entertaining any questions from the floor?
Larry, I'd prefer to just take comments at the end.
Well, you'll have made a decision, and so the comment would be irrelevant, then, wouldn't it?
What is your question, Larry?
Pardon?
What is your question?
Just, I wanted to address the issue of access to the lake. Township already controls Oaks Boulevard, which is, in all essences, the same as Mack Avenue. And so it can allow access to the lake through Oaks Boulevard, which it controls. And it is the one who's been blocking access to the water through its park, which was inconsistent with the rights of the backlot owners and flat owners. So why doesn't the township just let the traffic go through the township park and access the lake, snowmobiler and otherwise?
I think they can.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's
just
stopping
Other
them.
than just the,
Well, they can
walls,
go at
yeah.
the end, yeah, but
They
there's
can also
room.
go on the end,
There
yeah.
are some people
who do, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and keep this to Mr. McCarthy.
Pardon?
I just wanted to say one thing about the south end of Lake Boulevard. As part of the litigation, we did in fact have a survey done of that area, and there are areas that are not underwater with regard to that particular piece of property. And Dan, I think, is aware of that, and there are rather sizable areas that are not submerged under the lake, under Burt Lake. So I just wanted the record to be clear, because somebody said that that does not exist anymore. Well, it does exist. It perhaps does not exist to the extent that it did in the 1800s, but there are areas in front of that property that are not submerged under the lake.
Yeah, I think I was the guy guilty of saying it doesn't exist. What I was saying, however, was that the township's interest in these two pieces of roadway, Pine and Lake Boulevard, just don't exist. Pine because Pine doesn't exist. Lake Boulevard because whatever is remaining of Lake Boulevard in front of DeYoung's has just never been used in any meaningful way by a public agency, and certainly not the township.
One more question, Roger?
According to what Commissioner Arthur said, there's dry land between the lake that's Lake Boulevard, between the lake and his place, Mr. DeYoung's place.
There's
So
what?
that would be a public access along there. And DeYoung's has been keeping people off of that piece of property for quite a few years. Every time they get a chance, they'll open their mouth about it. That should be put into an area where it's open for the public to use for a beach or anything they wanted to. If there's dry land along there.
Well, as Craig stated, that the township board some years ago abandoned that, and Mr. DeYoung's been paying taxes as it is.
Built a home based on those, they built a home based on those decisions, that's completely different. Once, the road commission and the township abandoned it.
It was, like Craig said, in good faith, the township abandoned that section of road.
And from my understanding, Lake Boulevard cannot be used just as a public beach, is that?
Lake Boulevard is a parallel running road,
So if you have,
and that's treated differently than a road end like Mack Avenue.
okay,
There's a case out there, it's the Baum case, which indicates with a parallel running road, the public interest, the interest that you would be acquiring from the road commission is what, it's a nominal interest. It's basically a street interest, which would at most allow parallel traffic. It doesn't allow access to the beach using Lake Boulevard, and nor does it destroy the Youngs or the Harless's riparian rights, because this parallel roadway is there. So it's different, and you need to understand that when you acquire the foot of Mack from the road commission, if you decide to do that, you're acquiring something with more substance than you are with Lake Boulevard.
still just ingress and egress though. Still just ingress and egress at the end of Mack.
Yes,
The typical road end.
yes, right.
I think you're right, Craig.
Well, let's get this resolved.
Craig, can I ask one question?
It's Mike,
Go ahead, Rob.
The Lake Boulevard, or Mack Avenue, when it comes to the township, it doesn't have to be a road, does it? You own it, so therefore you can decide what you wish to do with it. It could be a park.
Are you talking about the road end, are you talking about the road
Road
end?
Commission has abandoned the road end?
According to Mr. White, no.
Still classified as.
Still
a road.
classified.
Still, it's road end, they needed that, so it's just ingress and egress. It won't be a park, it won't be mooring,
But
it won't
that's
be.
under the road commission laws, not under the township. It's like the road commission is trying to sell or give the road endings to the townships.
I think,
So
I think we're going to be accepting, if we make that decision, the road end, and the definition of the road end doesn't change. They have abandoned it, now we're picking up, if we choose to do that, the road end, it still is a road end.
So it can't
It's
be
not a
anything
private,
else.
it's not anything else.
The answer lies in the original dedication of
Sure,
Lake,
the plat.
of Lake Boulevard. And it was dedicated as basically a street.
So
Now,
the township
there's
can't
some
do anything else
argument in the
with it.
litigation that Lake Boulevard means more than a street, it means a boulevard, and maybe that's a park, but that's been sort of just kind of a curious argument. But generally speaking, when a street is dedicated, as was Lake Boulevard, it's dedicated as a street, and that's the limit to which it can be used by the public agency. First the road commission, and now the township if it's decided to take it over.
Because it's platted,
Yeah.
not making it,
Do you have,
Right.
do you have the copy of our motions?
Yeah, I have a resolution if you decide to abandon. I have a motion to accept the abandoned interest if you decide to go that way. And if you do decide to go that way, there's a second proposed motion to reject the proposed vacation of certain platted roads as part of the settlement. So there you go.
Do you have copies of these or not? Just-
I've got copies. Would you like me to give you all copies?
Yes, if you would, just for a moment.
Chief has a question.
I do
Yes,
have to say that if it becomes a private park, I see a lot of trips for the officers down there. And during the summer, it's really not used that much, but it is as busy as the main drag once the ice gets good in the winter.
Yeah, understand. I'm
Well, I
sorry.
would like to see us accept any interest that we have available to us from Mac and Lake Boulevard north of Mac. I believe that's how you prepared your resolution, correct?
I agree with, Craig's,
Here. This is the abandonment. If you decide to abandon, here's the motion to
I
accept.
think I've given you.
It'd be just pages, sections 2 and 3.
How do you turn the air conditioning on?
Let me do that.
Usually it's cool. It's not on, Mike.
I thought it was me.
Thanks.
Okay, so the motion to accept the
Sheboygan
Sheboygan
County
County
Road-
Road Commission's abandoned interest to certain planted roadways. And that would include all of Lake Boulevard between River and Oaks, all of Lake between Oaks and Mac, and then the part of Mac Avenue lying within the legal
Okay,
description
so
set
that is,
forth.
that is the language we're looking for then.
Yes, that's how we prepared it.
I'll read this, thanks, Dan. I'll read this aloud. Motion to accept, I mean, this is the abandonment. I don't know that's coming into play. I mean, I think the motion to accept Sheboygan County Road Commission's abandoned interest in certain platted roadways within the plat of M.A. Henry subdivision of Keystone Park. Seconding. Would be all of Lake Boulevard located between River Avenue and Oaks Avenue, all of Lake Boulevard located between Oaks Avenue and Mack Avenue, and that part of Mack Avenue lying within the legal description set forth on the attachment here too.
And that's the
Road end of Mac.
surveyor's description of the foot of Mac, which would have been the private park.
I will make that motion,
I'll support that.
and I fully understand we may not be done with litigation.
Okay, Craig has moved and supported by Jane. Roll call?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Alazovic,
Yes.
Ridley,
Yes.
Fisher, yes. Waldron,
Yes, I'm sorry, to read. And I would like to move that we, I think we already have, but that we officially reject the proposed
Vacation.
the proposed settlement,
I'll support that.
Okay, Sue supports that.
which I believe that's this other sheet, right?
Right. Tuscarora Township has resolved to accept all of Sheboygan County Road Commission's interest in the following platted roadways within the plat of McHenry subdivision of Keystone Park. Again, all of Lake Boulevard between River Avenue and Oaks Avenue, all of Lake Boulevard located between Oaks Avenue and Mack Avenue, and that part of Mack Avenue lying within the legal description set forth on the attachment here too. Therefore is moved by Waldron and supported by Fisher to reject the vacation of the above roadways under MCL 560.2261C. As contemplated by the proposed consent judgment in the matter of Harless, DeYoung et al. In Sheboygan County Court, Circuit Court. Roll call?
Palovich,
Yes.
Waldron,
Yes.
Ridley,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Fisher, yes.
Thank you, Mr. White. Don't forget your briefcase. Police report.
Officer Chamberlain will be having surgery on his shoulder on the 17th of this month. He's going to be off for 4 to 6 months. Great timing for the time of year. So I hired another part-timer to help fill in. His name is Chris Crawford. He graduated from Inland Lakes in 1994. He's a veteran, having served 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. Moved home to Afton from Kansas, where he was a police officer there for 4 years. So we have made it through prom with no one getting hurt, with no incidents. It's great. We did have the lockdown incident at school, which I firmly believe is someone trying to get out of exams. And, you know, some areas they call the first robin, the first sign of spring. Well, we had kids swimming down at Green Docks today, so that was our first sign of spring. Their jaws were just chattering, and they said it was cold. They were in there. So let the fun begin.
Thank you, Chief. Committee reports, Marina Park.
The parks application has been revised to include all of Tuscarora Township's parks, and the language and the changes have been approved by the township attorney. And Marina Park will begin working with Bill Sanders if you approve his contracts tonight. He's the architect that's going to help us with the trailhead.
Thank you. DDA?
Streetscape, you already heard what was going on the pathway project. Everything, all the new information that MDOT has applied for has been turned into John Duvall, and he is turning it into the new person at MDOT, and we have not heard anything back as of today.
Okay, thank you. Parks Commission?
We're just busy getting cleaned up. We got Cooperation Park all done today, and we're starting on the cemeteries and the DeVoe Beach tomorrow, and we got we're gonna put a pavilion up. We should have it up by the 18th, Sue, I think, right? And at DeVoe Beach. We're continuing from there.
Who's putting it up?
You are.
Better have a lot of small pieces. A lot of small pieces.
You and me.
And a tractor. Is it are we contracting that, or is that
No, we're gonna do,
yourselves?
Craig, you're gonna help too, right? Craig,
What they do.
Craig and a few of us are gonna donate some time and get it put up.
Okay.
Anybody else is
I
gonna?
don't know if he really wanted me or he wanted my forklift.
Forklift. And an
That's
operator.
heavy. How much was it that way when we came in?
Oh, it's heavy. I don't know.
Yeah.
7.
It's not a cheap,
10,000 pounds.
7,000.
No,
pavilion. It's really well built.
yeah, it's heavy.
How did we get the pavilion?
Sue
We
pointed
entered
out,
a
we entered a raffle. Yeah, first time in my life, I think I won a fishing pole once about 20 years ago, but this is the second time in my life I ever won anything. We went online and the National Expo in Anaheim, California. I just went online and entered Tuscarora Township in, and we
I
won.
can't remember how many entrants there were. Quite a few. It's been a while.
It's a $40,000 pavilion.
But it didn't cost us anything, correct?
Well,
Well, not yet.
Well, I mean, but
The shipping
but
here,
it's-
shipping here.
Yeah, shipping and
And that's gonna take the,
The actual pavilion was a,
well, like that.
The women's buffet for the shipping.
Yes,
Hey,
we did.
Hey, Jim, have you talked to the county about whatever permits you need and stuff? Have you got all that?
Yeah, we got that all handled, yes.
We know now. We think so. Thanks, Craig, I didn't think about that either.
Beautification.
We have 6 of the benches needed to be repaired this year, so Jim Pirtle got them to the school. The shop class is working on them. We sent letters out to the sponsors of those 6, offering them the first chance to re-sponsor if they wanted to. And Bobby, I think that 4 have been returned, right? That wanted to.
She gave her confirmation.
She
So-
did, that's why, okay.
Forgot to send you the letter.
The school is also working on a sign for Hideaway Park.
Oh, great,
So those are
great. Hideaway Park looks nice, it's a
Yep,
nice boardwalk down there.
and we'll be doing more, and the sign is gonna be great.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot. Planning Commission?
Well, I guess we haven't had any meeting lately, but I guess I'm gonna throw out, I know, I've had a few comments, I know Mike's been, and probably Sue have been getting bombarded by people jumping all over them or asking questions about what Mark Hall is doing or not doing. And, you know, at this point, Mark Hall is a citizen just like anybody else. There's been no application, there's been, I mean, other than the comments that were made at the public meeting of what he might wanna do, there has been nothing applied. So we have nothing that anybody can do or ask or respond to. He's putting in a road, I believe, to his property, which he has every right to. It's his access, so they're clearing some trees there, but nothing else is happening. There's nothing moving forward, and there isn't really anything anybody can do or say until some kind of application is made. And what, we don't even know, you know, whether that will be forthcoming or when, so. So I guess lay off on Mike and making him answer questions.
Thank you. West Side Road End?
We've gotten the material cost for the docks. We say docks because perhaps there will be 2. Kathy Bunker, the road commissioner, is on vacation. She returns on Tuesday, and the drawing should be completed for Resort Road at that time, and then we'll go forward.
I have a couple questions. This is all hinging on county approval.
County approval?
Yeah, I wanna get this straight, where the chain of,
The chain of command is the road commission.
that's what I meant.
What
County
happens
Road Commission.
is the road commission pulls the permits, has the public hearings, if there is public hearings for that. And then, this is from what I understand, we haven't seen it happen yet, so it usually takes, after Kathy submits the drawings to the DEQ and the Army Corps, they take their cycle, which is notification, etc. When it comes back, then after they'll send bids out or whatever, then it comes to you to pay for it, or me, or us to pay for it.
At the first meeting that we had at Resort Road, the issue of parking and how that was gonna work came up. And at that point, said it was premature, that we'll have that discussion later when we get the drawings back from Kathy Bunker, is that correct?
Yes, and it's
so
still
when in the
premature based on, the permit includes the TCO request that the chief made that went to Mike Roper. Until we see the drawings with the base elevation, I have no idea, and Kathy hasn't finished them, so I have no idea what her drawings look like. As soon as we get the drawings, you'll see them, but because the road end belongs to the road commission, they do all the work, they do all the permitting, etc. The only thing that we do is pay for it. We're not paying for it. But as soon as Kathy, I didn't get a chance, the day before she went on vacation, she took the base elevation. She had to wait until the ice went off the level, et cetera, to do her work. She also has the surveys where show the boundary lines and everything. And the parking, it's still a little premature because we haven't seen anything or haven't seen the grade at Resort Road. They really wanted 13%. We are the excavator that we think that would do the work, said the best that he could do is probably 15. So we're gonna have to see what Kathy needs to do with the site, because we had only intended to use 20 feet, to improve it 20 feet, but we don't know what they'll have to do yet. But we're moving along. You have not lost any of your say in this yet. It's just the process of which it goes.
I guess that's my concern is to, and I don't mean to make a mountain out of a molehill. My concern is that if it's your group that goes to the county for the permits and.
No, it's the road commission.
That's what I meant. You go to the county road commission and you go to them for your permits. And let's say the township does not agree with what your plans are. We take public input all the time. I mean, every week, every day. But the problem is that you could say, okay, we'll pay for it, and we have our permit, and all of a sudden the township is a non-entity involved in the
No,
process.
because it has to go through us. It will have to come
Well,
through.
where?
The check, no,
You know,
the check.
well, I mean, that's what I mean, is.
It is a road improvement project. It goes through just like any other road improvement project.
It's gonna have to be come through.
Okay.
It comes
They're
through.
an appointed committee from the township, so
Okay,
there's no way.
okay, I understand that. Those are the questions that I was,
And as far as parking, we've discussed, the amount of parking that there is available or whatever. We're still not there yet, because we have no idea.
I think the issue was, it's been a number of months, and again, things have been delayed, so
Yeah.
the question was,
We had hoped we'd be
we're
done.
putting off the discussion of the parking and any other issues that people might have.
Well,
That
those issues,
discussion is yet to come.
and
they will
those
have
issues
input
come
then.
up in public hearings.
you got the permit for the Ellinger Road dock?
Well,
We're all set.
you did.
Yeah, we're all set. I mean, we're all set with that.
We just have to build it.
We have a big agenda.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to take so much time there. Airport manager.
Well, we had quite a bit of spring cleanup work to do this year, more than usual. And we've got that pretty well done. And we're also starting to trim the trees and the brush along on the north side of the runway that you and I looked at there and for our clear zone. For some reason, trees seem to grow into the open area.
That's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
But we got started on that, and we're about half done on that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Norm. Thanks for your work on this. Appreciate it. Treasurer's report.
All right, I've got 3 things for you guys tonight. First, the numbers. General accounts, $1,139,819.31. And taxes, $11,373.50. And then we got, another one of our, it's time the county treasurer has gone through and people who are, delinquent, the properties that we get first shot at. There are several properties, in the Pine Ridge condominium, quite a few lots actually, maybe the whole subdivision out there, Wobbin Woods, Frank Geese's subdivision, at the end of Squaw Beach. I don't know if anybody
Is there
can see
any
any
interest?
interest, I don't know what we could do public-wise there, so I just need a motion to decline these.
That's all there are, is the ones in there?
Yep,
Both off Park Road and,
yeah, it's Wobbin Woods and Pine. So there's not anything else, just those.
no, I was excited at first thinking it might be something by those road ends over
Yeah,
there,
but
but
all in that subdivision, so.
I make a motion we decline any interest in those.
Craig makes the motion. Is there support? Jane supports. All in favor?
And then lastly, I had mentioned a few months ago, that I was working on credit card payments, and I'm getting close, we're just waiting to go live with, the credit card payment company. We're online with BSNA, so, you guys will get something in your tax bills, and I'm still trying to figure out how I let people know, their tax bills go to the tax-paying entity through their bank, but, you can check your taxes as a taxpayer. You can see my system updates daily to the website, so we're working on getting the icon on our website. So as an owner of property and taxpayer, you can register and look and see, so if you do pay through your mortgage, you can see when those are paid, or you can check on things, see your tax amounts, and it also will allow those big companies like CoreLogic and Wells Fargo, they have accounts set up through BSNA, who is my tax program, so they can access those anytime too, and that helps us at this end, because a lot of the calls that we take are, you can't even understand, you don't speak English, and so that's gonna help us with those kind of calls here, so that is set up, we're good there. And then, the credit cards, my understanding of how it works is we'll have a scanner in here in my office and in Sue's office, so we can take credit card payments here.
That's just for taxes.
For taxes, yes, just for taxes, not for any special assessments or anything else, but just for tax payments. And then if people are downstate or in another state, they can call in through the system or go online. So I haven't got to try that out yet, we're not that far, but we do have to do a resolution in order for us to be able to accept those. So what my resolution says is that, again, we only take we do take personal property taxes, but only taxes, no other payments, and how it works is the financial transaction device through the company we're using, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, we don't take any debit cards or electronic checks.
Is there a cost?
The fee is no fee to us. The fee.
It's passed on to.
It's passed on, and I believe it's 3%.
Passed on to who?
Passed on to
Whoever wants to
use it.
Oh.
Yep, which is common, because we can't, that's why we've never had credit cards, is because we can't
That's
accept
what I was
that
gonna say,
fee.
it takes a couple $1 million worth of
Yep,
property
yeah,
tax.
so we have no,
You wanna pay 3% more
Yeah.
in taxes?
You wouldn't believe how many people we hear from.
Yeah,
They
they wanna do that
Yeah.
because of the points they get.
They want the mileage.
They get their miles or their points, and it's
I could buy
more
miles for
beneficial.
3%.
That's their choice, or they just feel under the gun and they want their taxes paid, but we've had a lot of requests for credit cards, so it was time to step up and do it, and I researched this company that we're using, and quite a few people use them. In that conference, I talked to a lot of the townships, and they've been very happy with their service, so.
Motion to accept that resolution.
Sue makes a motion to accept that resolution. Is there support?
I'll
Jane supports, and a roll call?
McGinnis,
yes.
Belozovic,
Yes.
Ridley,
Yes.
Fisher, yes, Waldron.
Yes.
Supervisor declares that the resolution is adopted.
You have to sign it? No, you don't have to sign it, just you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Correspondence. Had a request to hold a special meeting of the property owners located within the special assessment district. The topic will be limited to discussions, questions concerning the municipal sewer project, the district, and the special assessment. Is there any discussion or support for a special meeting?
I think we've had plenty of special meetings on the project. I don't see anything new that's come to light.
Well, if we have anything for updates, we can
Yeah,
have another
some-
update meeting.
Yeah, we'll definitely have an update when we get ready to go to bed and when we have more information, but nothing's,
But that request to, allow filibustering doesn't appeal to me.
To allow what?
There's no
Asking
time
for
limit, no
unlimited-
set minutes to speak.
I think.
Is there any support for it?
Mike, can I say something
Yes, Janet.
about that? According to the supervisor handbook, a special meeting of the inhabitants may be called upon the written request of any 12 electors of the township or of 1% of the registered electors of the township, whichever is the greater number, or may be called by order of the township board. And the purpose of the meeting must be set forth in the request or the order of the township board. The special meeting must be held not more than 20 nor less than 15 days from the following time of the township board's ordering of said meeting. And the clerk, within 2 days after receiving the township board's order for the special meeting, shall post copies of the order in 3 of the most public places in the township and publish notice in the local newspaper at least 5 days prior to the meeting.
Is that
And-
word may though?
Yes,
Is that
may.
first word may?
Yes.
That's the important word right there.
It's not shall.
It's a very,
Not 1%, that's
yeah.
the leftovers.
yeah.
Very important word.
It may be called by the inhabitant or the special, or the
May,
township board.
may. That doesn't mean,
It's not shall, difference between may and shall.
You're not interpreting that correctly.
well,
I mean, you probably wanna consult with the lawyer, but it may be called by the inhabitants. It doesn't say it shall be called by one or the other. I mean, that's the, I understand
That
what
may
you're saying.
part.
Maybe
Was
the
that
inhabitant
the
or the
Right.
township board.
Right.
Yeah.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I would suggest we pass it along to legal counsel and get an opinion.
Suggestions taken. There's no support for a meeting, but we will pass it to legal counsel. Okay. Eagles Nest Road, what a U-tour here.
Nobody's up there anymore. They're holding it before it's too.
Well, this is just a discussion, they're just a discussion, and I'm thinking about typing some up just to save postage and take a nice long walk and visit everybody and hand them this. This is just a suggestion, the
Yeah.
different scenarios that Sue put together. The project cost totally, the windshield estimate is $224,019. Legal fees are about $10,000, postage is $135, publications $150. The total is $234,304. And she's 6 different scenarios ranging from 90% would be everybody pays a parcel, and 10% would be allocated by front footage on Eagles Nest itself. And
What
then with a
percentage would be an Eagles Nest?
well, it depends. There are different suggestions.
Oh,
There's
okay.
10%, there's 5%. They're either 10 or, and some are just flat fees. But the more I think about flat fees, that's not going to work because it would not be equally doled out to front footage people. Somebody with a small little lot has to pay $1,000. Somebody,
You can do that.
you can do that. Well, I just
We
wonder
were
if they
told we
would.
could not on that last one. We were told there has to be a special permit, or there has to be.
Yes, we're talking about additional for the front lot owners, but you don't have to, each front lot owner can pay the same amount. Apple Blossom did it that
Oh,
way.
yes,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying, there's more,
So it's
The-
10% for the lot owners.
10 or 5%, yeah.
But that would be, you could split that up
okay, I
evenly
understand what
among
you're
the
saying, yes.
9 owners?
I think there's more like 12 or 14, wasn't there? We count 12 or 14 owners on.
I was
Well,
just
we-
looking at the GIS map, so I counted 15.
But they would pay 10% of the total road cost?
No, 10% would be doled out, it would be, and it depends if it's a township contribution or if there's, there's a different bunch of scenarios, and I'm gonna try and make a narrative out this that you
Well,
can
it
look
needs to
at.
make a good
I need
writing
to ask
when we read
one
it.
question.
What's that?
The east end of the road between Plymouth Beach and Straits Highway,
Mm-hmm,
is that county, is that state, is
it's
it
all county road,
township?
it's all county road,
It's all, so it's all
Everything's the
county
same.
property.
it's all county road, that's, yeah, we don't,
So we're talking 3,500 feet, am I right?
no. You're
I'm
talking
talking
about
about, I'm talking,
from
He's talking
Plymouth
from-
Beach to,
The expressway side.
yeah, I
From
roughly,
35,
yeah,
38?
it's
100.
70, it's, 7,200 feet, the total? And I think from there it was like, you're right, something like that.
Right, so less than it's anywhere between 3,500 and 4,000 feet
Mm-hmm.
is county property.
It's all county property.
No, I'm talking about the
State.
front.
Oh,
the
I'm
front.
sorry, I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the
Mike
roads.
knows where I'm,
No,
we
no,
got,
yeah,
we've got numerous
understood.
discussions about it.
Understood.
Yeah,
So better than 1/4 of that, rather than 1/4 of that road is county property.
Yeah.
Frontage is county property,
that's why
road frontage.
my scenario does not split it up, dividing it up where half the road pays half and the other road pays half. 7,200 feet frontage for all front lot owners. Is the only way that you could do it, because there's too much owned by state, and they're not gonna pick it up.
Has anybody even looked to see what the governor's new plan is on roads?
There is
Yes, we
one.
did, yeah, well, I think.
No, I
bet
did
they
too,
will.
that's why I'm asking you.
But that's all about how to fund roads, it really doesn't say what they're gonna give to roads.
No,
Yeah,
at the end, it's for funding right now, how to get the money.
yeah.
But local county
Like the
roads
local
are gonna
county
be way down
roads.
the list.
Well, no, they aren't.
Well,
They're gonna break it down by your,
I know.
population size.
We're screwed by that.
Right.
Well, no, but you
As I
gotta
said,
get-
we're
but you
way
gotta
down
get a
the list.
percentage. I haven't ever seen any for tax dollars come out of our own county money for our fuel into the road. All they do is plow the snow with it. Think about it. We built a brand new garage in Indian River, got one up in Sheboygan, and we plow snow. Think about it, I mean, truthfully, I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't see the use of our county road commission's money
They do
for what we're getting.
ditches, right?
I mean, I'm just being honest, I mean, I'm not trying
I
to.
understand. We're gonna try and figure this, how to put this in a narrative. I think Sue did a real good job, and make copies of this, and,
You need to break down how much it costs to them.
yeah, well, well, the individual has to look at their front footage.
Well, you gotta look at too, whether you live around Eagles Nest or you're a secondary
Well,
road.
they
This
did
is-
done
this-
that.
this adjust-
That
this-
is,
this addresses that.
That's in there.
And then we go from there, I'll tell you.
Cause you know, I mean, you know yourself, we're gonna pay for 2 roads.
Right.
Us on Plymouth Beach, we're
Yeah,
gonna pay for 2
sooner or
roads.
later, within the next 5, 10 years, we'll be paying
We're
for
gonna
Plymouth
pay for
Beach.
Eagles Nest, and we're gonna have to pay for Plymouth Beach because that road's deteriorating.
Well, the road commission would have turned chip Eagles Nest about 15 years ago.
It'd still be gone.
No.
Yeah,
Only
well,
in the
that
swamp.
stuff doesn't hold.
You're never gonna hold. the
Anyway,
swamp.
let me get back to this. Let me get back to this real quick, is that I will try and get this to you, and I will leave an email and phone number, and try and get your input, and see what people, because it's gonna go back to the front foot owners, whether they want it or not, because they can petition not to have it.
Well, yeah, but I still think the back ownership say too. See, they're trying to charge us the same percentage almost as the guy who lives on Eagles Nest. I don't buy that.
The law doesn't allow it, though. That's the
It
law.
don't allow, it don't say you gotta charge a guy on the back road the same as the guy in Eagles Nest.
Not saying that.
So you charge him
No.
2 cents
Not
more.
saying that.
You charge him more.
Well, yeah.
It comes out, Doug, it comes out anywhere between, there's, I see as much as $3.25 a foot, and as low as $1.46 a foot. So
For
it's
the guy
not
in Eagles Nest.
the guy in Eagles Nest.
Plus,
All right, how much is it on the
Well,
guy
no,
in
but plus
Plymouth
it-
Beach?
Plus a parcel fee,
plus his
which is the same.
parcel fee.
A guy in Eagles Nest will pay a parcel fee the same as you pay, plus the guy in Eagles Nest pays that front footage along with it,
$3.25.
up to $3.25.
Okay, that's
Okay. I'm sorry, Craig, I know you're one for moving the meeting along.
Well, I just trying to get my fingers right.
Well,
That's it.
I'll sit down, I'll come down and talk to you about it. I was over there today, I was kinda looking for you, so you're working too hard. Number 14, change the date of the June meeting. A couple of us are gonna be out of town. We would like to propose, that was June 11th. June 11th,
To change it to June 11th?
yes. You got something going on?
No, I'm fine.
7 o'clock.
Do we need a motion to change it to June 11th?
So moved.
Yeah.
So moved, support, Bobby supports,
Okay.
all in favor? Set the budget workshop meeting.
Chief, when do you leave?
I'll be gone 19th through the 23rd.
19th through the 23rd. Oh, okay.
Can I go get my book real quick?
Yep.
You know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, basically.
Okay, okay.
We have to have it by the end of June, correct?
Well, yeah.
But I mean, we
yeah.
have to have it done by, so we have to. do it,
Yes,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Which means-
Which is 28.
What date are you looking at?
I'm not, I'm,
It's gonna be
thinking
gone.
May? No, for
Beginning
a
of June.
workshop? No, it's gotta be in June.
Okay.
It's gotta be in June, we won't have enough numbers ready.
Well, let's do it after the 11th, then, if
Yeah.
you guys are gonna be gone, so.
Well, what day are you coming back?
He's, oh,
You.
I'm gonna be back in town on the 9th. I'm thinking more along the line, you're gonna be gone the 19th through the 23rd. I'm thinking more the 24th, 25th.
How about the 24th?
That's fine with me.
25th, okay, 24th.
We usually do those a little earlier, because in case they last on the 6th.
Yeah.
24th
24th,
at
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
PM.
Yeah.
AM's better for me, but.
Yeah, no.
We usually do that.
Yeah, the workshops are during the day. Yeah, we usually have the workshops during the day, but this is,
Well, whatever you guys.
this is fine.
We can't both. We-
Yep. Yep, yeah, that's true. Okay.
Self-evaluation guide, rural development.
I gave you guys all copies of this, and you just had to, all I need to be able to say is that you've looked at it, you've perused it, and.
We went over it and what we thought.
Yep, I got info back from everybody, so I can put down that we addressed it today. Okay, again,
So do we need a motion to accept that, or are you just gonna send it off?
no, just says that we addressed it.
Okay. Agreement with library, township, and police. This is for the maintenance of the building. And we had a meeting with the library and Chief Wagner.
The library board has not yet met, so they do not have this, they have not voted on this.
That's fine, but this, it would be each voted on individually anyways.
What
I
has
sent a
changed in
copy.
this agreement?
Well,
from the
actually, there
original?
was never really a signed agreement ever before.
But it was very similar. The
Very
original agreement
similar,
was-
and the only thing I'm gonna point out to them, we have not been charging the library 40% on everything. Supplies have been 20%, so I was going to point that out. Just did the proration today. I would like to
I'm just saying
change
that
that.
you ought not to do this until the library board had tabled it for another meeting.
Well, we've got to vote on it anyway.
Yeah,
We
so it
all
doesn't
gotta do it
matter.
individually.
Yeah, you're voting for you,
Yeah,
not the chief
right.
of the, okay.
Yep, yep, yep.
So were you gonna change that to the 20%?
I wanted to change those percentages to what we're currently charging, which is, that's the same thing. That's just what my copy was to work on. I don't see any need to charge them more than what we've been currently charging them.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
I know, and this was just a flat and,
Well, you think it's, I mean, obviously you came up, you must have thought that was a representative charge for the use of those supplies.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think, and I apologize, I meant to grab that proration back out again today, but I just like to keep the current prorations the way they are.
And that's where they are right now?
No, they're less than
What-
this.
what is
The
it?
township is picking up, if you want me to go in my office real
No,
quick, I
no,
can get it.
no.
Library's picking up 20% on the supplies. They're picking up 40% on the heating because of the size. That's the most, I've just worked with those numbers.
I'm
Wait,
sorry.
20% for supplies,
So-
40% for the heating, and everything else may be 40%. I thought something else was 30%. So,
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept that with the current percentages that we have been charging that.
And get the new numbers to the library board.
yes, yep, yep.
I'll support.
Greg supports, all in favor? Aye. Okay, Sheboygan County United Way 211 service,
Table.
tabled this a few times.
Once.
Once?
Yeah, just last week. It is it's an annual fee. John, do you know how the other townships,
I'm not aware of the townships. I don't think the county can participate with tax dollars.
right. I'm either way. I don't see it,
What was the annual fee?
14 cents a person.
it's a per capita. It's $455.70. Here's a little bit more consumer's guide on
What if
211.
we agree, but the other townships don't?
Well,
Is it not-
We're not picking up for anybody else, so
But will the service go
But will the
away?
service be
Yes.
provided?
I don't think so.
I mean, how do they know when you dial 211 if it's coming from a resident that's paid the 14 cents per capita or a township that maybe has not?
Well, if they can't get it from all the townships, it's not gonna go through.
It's a public inquiry for services
Right.
within the county.
Right.
It's like a 911 for emergency, this is a 411, or 211.
211 is
I think
for,
we got a lot of numbers we can dial right now. I'm not in disagreement with you, I just said I would get more information on it, and it's here.
I mean, the phone book gives us a pretty
I think
It's vast array
I
of
think it's-
people to call and.
John, what's that, John?
I think the chambers are interested in it, things like that. I may be wrong.
I struggle with it on a couple fronts. I struggle with it because I don't think it's a township. The main thing, number one, whether you want the merits or not, I don't think it's a township function. And number two, it seems to me that we've created so many agencies, now we gotta have an agency to tell them what agency to go to. That seems like a stretch.
We just need a
Those
motion.
other agencies ought to be able to direct them to where they need to be, that we're already paying, so.
Yep.
I make a motion, we reject the request for the.
I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye. Just have a motion.
Sanders and Sapsky Associates PLLC agreement. This is the folks that are doing the trailhead, so?
Yes, the landscape architect contract, not to exceed $6,200 plus expenses, is that what?
Plus
it is?
expenses, yeah. Estimating expenses to be $700. And the Marina Park's already approved it.
When will you meet with them? What's the first time you're meeting with them? Or have you met with them already?
No, well, I've met with him, but Marina Park is gonna meet with him for the first time on the 15th of May.
Okay.
motion to accept.
Bobby makes a motion to accept, your support.
Yes.
Craig supports, all in favor? Aye. Okay, now, a well approval easement.
Can you sign that right
Yeah.
away for me, please?
Can we do this, Mike?
No, you take what you know.
This involves I think we've discussed it at an earlier meeting. This involves the industrial park property and the wastewater treatment, facility site. Through a lot of conversations with DEQ, DNR, there's a number of, isolation distances required, and there seems to be a lot of variables on what they're required from. So the standard distance is 800 feet, sometimes easements sometimes variances are given down to 300, but at this point, we're sticking with the 800. The way I understand it, the law reads 800 foot from the ground infiltration area, which would be the basins, but we've got requests or concerns that some people would rather see it 800 from even the building, the plant itself. So there's a map floating around that's got circles all over it and ovals all over it of all different intersecting lines depending on where you draw the circles from. We had originally selected a site that I think we talked about a meeting or two ago, on a piece of township property that was kinda to the north, east a little bit of the treatment plant, kept it out of the site. We also have to provide, access for water to, 4 parcels, depending on which map, either 2 or 4 parcels, that would be within that 800-foot distance. So, and then it's further complicated by the fact that there is a oil storage or fuel storage facility, which never had to go through any of the 800-foot isolation issues. So when you draw that circle, like I said, I got a map with all kinds of circles on it. So the current proposal in front of us that I would like board approval is to put have a well location to service the treatment plant and whatever those parcels we would need. And it would be on the property, on the back of the property. There's 3 parcels across 68. And then it would be on the east side, let's see, it'd be the southeast corner of the parcel that we own between there and the ambulance facility, so right in the back corner. And then there would be an easement drafted up those property lines to get to the road. And then the water piping at that point would go down the road in the right of way that's already established. Working with health department and DEQ and all that stuff. So this could be subject to change, but this seems to be the approved, and like I said, it puts us out of all of the isolation distances with no variances or requests for variances required. So I would like board authorization to allow, say, Mike and Sue to sign the necessary easements for the township property to grant this.
You make that motion?
I make that motion.
Here's a question.
Yes. Just a moment, is there support? Just a moment, yes, go ahead.
For this municipal water.
Okay, yeah, the big one is, are you essentially making a municipal water supply to these other 4 properties since they're private properties? Is this gonna be considered a municipal water supply system?
I don't, it's not a municipal, it's a community well, shared well.
It's a shared well. It's
Owned by the township providing to private properties.
The shared well
That's
agreement
correct.
includes language where people contribute. It can be any way you set it up. If I owned a house and you own the house next door, we could share a well.
That's not, I don't
But
think
this
that.
is a municipality, the township is a
But it's a
municipality,
shared
and it
well.
will own it, so.
In this case, it would if other people hook onto it, it will be upgraded to probably a type 2B well.
It's operating as a type 3, right?
Well, it most likely would operate as type 3 if it only serviced the treatment facility, and if other people were able to hook up to it, then it would be operated as a type 2B.
So question, how
You know what,
much is this going to cost, and who's going to pay for it?
Well, we're voting on an easement right now, so.
Well, you need to discuss the issue.
No, I'm voting on, I'm asking for an easement. All that stuff has not been determined. This is to grant the easement should this be necessary.
There's something else you need to think about, if I can speak.
Go ahead, Ryder.
I've done a lot of research on the wells and everything up in that country, up in there. All the wells are in the top water aquifer. All that water is flowing out of that sewage plant is headed north, northwest, northeast. And everything coming out of there is in the top water aquifer. There is not a well at the Hometown Inn or any of them other properties that are up there. Who's in Budweiser, none of them over 122 foot deep. So, according to what the church says, that water flowage in there up there is anywhere from 500 to 400 feet per day.
Roger, this has nothing to
Now
do
listen,
with.
just listen.
No, we're off topic.
We're off
This is a
topic.
well easement.
You're talking
for
a
a well
DEQ
for our
issue. We're
facility.
talking about a well easement
This has
issue.
nothing to do with that. This is strictly a well
So
easement.
how deep
to
you gonna drill this new well?
You know, that's up to the health department. We have to meet the requirements of the DEQ and the health department. I'm asking for an easement to grant the place to put the well, to put the house, the little building that's needed, and the property to go through. That's what we're discussing right
You are
now.
not at this time approving drilling the well.
I don't think I have to. I mean, if we
Yeah,
get
I mean,
a,
I'm just clarifying.
if we get a well permit, I don't think we need another meeting to drill a well, no.
This is just an easement. You have support?
The health department has say over that.
Craig's got a motion and Jane supports, all in favor?
I motion.
You motion, okay, Sue motion, I'm sorry. All in favor? Salary resolutions, 21.
I'll pay. I woke them up. All benefits, 50%.
Well, you got guts. Trying to figure this out.
That's the increase, if it's
Okay.
3%, and that's the increase.
If it's 3% increase, it'll be $1,477.47, and if it's a 2.5% increase, it's $1,231. That's for,
All five. Oh, that's for all five.
that's all five. I mean, that's not per person, that's total.
Don't explain it to me.
Is that right? It's total, it's total.
I thought we voted on salaries at the annual meeting.
No annual meeting this year.
Oh, then I move that we, give the township board.
It doesn't work that way either.
Thank you.
Why no annual meeting?
We didn't have an annual meeting this year. This is, we are one of the last townships to have annual meetings.
That's beside why, that decision wasn't made in open meeting, no.
But you
It
know,
didn't set an annual.
Now,
It
listen,
was settled last year, it would have been
I
set
don't wanna
for.
say nothing bad, but in private industry, there's nobody getting raises.
I'm sorry, but yes, there is.
Who?
Oh, I'll get the list and
Come on,
I'll give
let's
it
see
to
it,
you.
I'd like to see it.
There's-
There isn't.
This
I
is
mean,
strict,
I don't
this is
care. I mean,
strictly
I-
the cost of living,
I don't care.
but there is no benefit.
Matter of fact, my healthcare in the last 2 years is went from I used to pay nothing.
Okay, let's bring it back to order here, folks. Bring it back to order. In a township that does not hold an annual meeting, the salary for officers composing the township board should be determined by the township board. And whereas the township board deems that an adjustment in the salary of the office of supervisor is warranted condition.
It's just for
Yes,
everybody.
That's just for reading. It's for everybody. Of the increase in the cost of leaves, township board members' salaries were last adjusted. And those are the figures. That's something that can be discussed in the budget meeting at that time. And,
Let's, can I back up just real quick?
sure.
The annual meeting is something that isn't set up unless it's called, is that correct?
Correct.
There is no annual meeting unless the board votes to hold one.
Right.
Okay, cause I mean, we haven't had any
That was,
discussion.
that was last, would have been set for, in last June, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We usually set that date when we set the other meeting dates, and we did not set one this year.
We did not set a date for last year's, that's,
Yeah, and I'm sorry, after
I don't
how things
disagree.
were handled last year, I
I
have
think you
no
guys should set up
desire in
have a
ever,
township
ever
meeting
having
and
another
set up a
annual meeting.
committee to decide on the raises.
No, no, it's
What
not.
was that?
Have a township meeting and have a committee decide on a merit raise system. What you guys think?
Well,
not
you
merit.
gotta merit, it's gotta
Well,
be
no,
merit.
you're
This is the
asking-
position, I mean, you know,
I know,
this
but
is
you're
not
You're
personalities.
sitting down, you have 5, you say, all right, I want a 2%, a 3%, I'm gonna want a 4% if I'm sitting there. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but-
It's
but
not-
that's-
It's
but
not
that's
a
a
good democratic way, it makes you look bad out in public.
But there, okay, I gotta tell this, I've gotta say this.
Okay, go ahead.
If the electorate, we have to, please, folks, this is important.
Yeah,
If the electorate so chooses to bring this to a vote, they can do that with how many petition names?
10% of the electors.
10% of the
Within,
electors?
yep, within 30 days
Within
of
30
the
days.
resolution.
Okay, within 30 days of the resolution, if you have a 10% of people that wanna see an election as to the raises, you know, that we proposed, then we have an election. That's how that works.
That the
You know,
township has to pay for.
the township has to pay.
We have to pay for an election.
An
We hold an
election.
election, so that
That's
you
the way it
can
works.
vote, so that.
We have not taken a raise since 2008,
2010, there was a 1.5%.
2010 was
well,
one.
that's too much, that was in a recession.
It is.
I'm telling you, my health costs is went up to
So was mine.
tons, I pay
So guess
$160 a month.
I wish I had some more people.
Were you looking at not to exceed, a not to exceed number?
Not to exceed 3%.
Not to exceed 3%?
2%. What's Waldron think?
You're having too much fun here, Doug, you're having too much fun.
Well, he usually comments on everything, what do you think of that one?
This
Well, I
is
think for my
decided at the budget
$3,800 a year or
That's quite a bit
thereabouts,
of money, that's a
that
lot of beer.
3% to me wouldn't, you know,
That's a lot of beer.
Tank of gas.
well, yeah, I spend more money in gas running in out here than that, but that's beside the point. So, you know, I think that, we made a decision to limit the health care increases, which I was very adamant about. And I think that, I don't know what the numbers are over the last 4 or 5 years, but I think there's been more that there has been no raises than there have. And,
Since 2008, 1.5%.
that's what it is, 2008, 1.5%. And I think just because there's a group of people that don't like the sewers, or don't like other things that we do, I don't think that has anything to do with whether the job's being done. So I have no issue with the 3% raise. I think
I
it's
would say
certainly.
from the day that you were elected, because you allowed yourself to be voted in at the salary of the time. To go back to 2008 is not correct. If you want to do it, go back to the time that you were elected.
No, we're just saying what it's not the people, it is the positions. And we were definitely, the times were bad, things were going down, the health increases were still going up. Would you shut up?
Yep, Craig.
This
Please,
gets
please.
out, this gets
That's
out
enough, please,
ridiculous.
folks, please. Point of order, point of order,
I'd
please.
like you to say that again, please.
Please.
Put it in the minutes.
I apologize. You know, time and time
Please.
again, we get little cackling
Folks.
from the
You
audience.
sat here and said about the sewer, us people, you know what? Now we're paying for your raises on top of everything else we're doing.
Okay.
Paula, please.
The new board's gonna like that raise.
I think we better hit that.
I have to point out too that over the last 2 years, Bobby's taken over the tax bills and done them herself. I've taken over the assessment notice, the office has done the assessment notices. I don't know how many, what did we save the township? Couple thousand, $3,000?
More than that.
More than that?
We're going on 10,000.
We're at 10,000, and there's a lot of work, there's more work now to be done than there was 4 years ago, or even 2 years ago.
Let's go down to
I don't think we have to debate it.
You asked me what I thought, so I did.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there support?
I'll support it.
Jane supports, roll call?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Blazovic. Yes. Ridley,
Yes.
Fisher, yes. Waldron.
Yes.
Citizen comments?
30 days.
Yes, sir.
Once again, I'd really like to ask.
Oh,
Do we have to
Paul,
go
Paul,
to-
can you go to the podium, please?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm doing that now.
You know, my comment is, why don't we entertain township road maintenance millage? We don't have a good road in the township or in the county. They're not gonna fix themselves. Look at what Burt Township is doing. You know, Burt Township, they took care of their portion, they took their portion of Eagles Nest Road. They're gonna blacktop Service Road.
Right.
I mean, and they're doing it because they have a township millage to do it. I mean, our roads are rotting, they need to be addressed.
I don't think they've got it, do they have a road village, or just a
Yep.
jet, road
Yeah.
village?
They've
No,
had it.
okay.
Yep.
You know,
Emmett County does too.
yeah.
You have to have a petition and to put it on the next ballot.
It's been discussed many, many times.
I know it, I brought it up a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think we guys get caught in the crossfire of the county road millage, and that goes over not
You know,
well.
I mean, ideally, like you said, November, there were no millage increases. It would have been, you know, it's a good time to put one on when there aren't 5 or 6 other ones. Like the last time the county put a millage.
Well, you couldn't do it just for the township, you'd have to do it countywide.
No.
No, we can do just township, we can just do township.
Yeah, but then we're still driving the city road.
Emmett County has, most of their individual townships have different millages or have a millage, and then they work with the county road commission, and I you know, I think
It's a
that's.
county-wide one where most of the money goes locally. It
It's
was
not
a-
really countywide, no, the
That's-
individual townships have to
isn't
go,
that
no,
what
I
they-
talked to one of their
Yeah, so
road
do we.
commissioners.
Yeah.
and I
We
was
did that
told
at
that
MTA.
they had to approve them, they approved them, because there's
I'm
a
going
couple
by
that
the Ace
don't.
Hardware guy.
So-
Yeah, they opted out because they get enough money.
Davendale.
Yeah, I talked to him, he told me that.
Thanks, Paul. I mean, that's a big concern. You can have all the assets or all the nice things in the world here in your township, but if you can't get from point A to point B,
If you're spending a lot of money maintaining your vehicle,
you know.
you can save that
The
money.
thing about it too is that the county likes us because we do special assessments. You know, they takes the load off them because they have no money. So, yes, Ralph?
Question as it relates to this 30-day resolution, now that it's been passed, we have 30 days beginning tonight or tomorrow?
I don't know, I'd have to look at it, I think 30 days from the day it was passed, so I don't know if it's starting tomorrow or not, Ralph.
Okay, will you get clarification and let us know, please?
If you wanna call me tomorrow afternoon, by 1:30, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow afternoon, so.
Now, the other part of that question is, as far as the 10% of what is the total that will be required?
I would have to look to see how many, because that changes, I'd have to look to see how many there are.
Will that be available before 1:30?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have several questions concerning the sewer, several township issues. And my concerns are as follows, so if you have an answer, you can tell me now, if not, you can tell me in writing later. What is the status of the negotiations with the Burt Lake State Park and the township board concerning their involvement with the sewer project?
They're not part of the system until they have to do all their own engineering, and then they come into the system after we're moving, after we develop.
Okay, so at this point, they are going to be part of that eventually?
We don't know.
We
They
don't
still
know.
have to, I mean, they've committed $750,000 to enter in the system.
Yeah, but
But-
that doesn't mean it's gonna be
That's
spent
right.
on it, so therefore, I just wanted clarification of where those negotiations
I mean, they've submitted a letter saying that they're interested and willing to come into the system.
Okay, will that involvement or lack of involvement have anything to do with the price of the sewer system itself? Or
Like-
them, or the people of the SAD?
It's possible, depends on what their costs are for coming in and
Okay, when is the next ordinance meeting?
and no date has been set yet.
And is there a deadline to, having that ordinance finished?
I think it's gotta be done by the closing for the USDA.
Okay, and last month you, said something about negotiations with Wade Trim and that existing debt, where's those negotiations at?
There were no negotiations, they just have not, you know.
You said you were in
not-
discussions with them.
We,
because
I
they
I
didn't
called
give you
them
negotiations.
quite some time ago, and they never returned a call or came back and said, here's where we are.
Okay, does the township board have any plans on doing any land acquisitions up where the treatment plant is near there or anything?
Well, we voted to approve last meeting, we
Last
voted.
land transaction application with the state. We put in for,
And who's gonna be paying for that?
be a township.
Township.
Mhm.
And is that in relationship to the sewer itself?
Yes.
And you said before that the township would not be affiliated with any cost to this sewer
We don't know that we'll need it right now, but we move forward with the application.
Yeah, but I'm just reminding you, that's what you said, that it would not cost the township anything, all costs would be within the SAD.
And if the next phase comes in, that's what we're
If there is
expanding.
another one.
If there's
We don't know.
another, if there's another
I mean,
phase.
We applied for the application, that's what's been done. Nothing else.
And I was just wondering who will be paying for that water source for those, if it happens, to those 4 properties that you mentioned earlier today?
It would be out of the sewer district.
The sewer people would be paying for that?
That's what it's for, I guess.
Is that what, talking
No,
about
it's for those 4 properties.
For the 4 properties, no, talking about,
They shouldn't have to pay for 4 private properties.
just the treatment facility and the property that we're on.
The water system would be paid for, they would pay, I mean, we don't know, I guess, is the answer, we don't have any formal agreements, but the cost of putting in the well and the piping would be paid for.
Yeah, there was always going to be
Yeah,
the
there's
cost of
always
the
gonna be a
well.
well.
But maybe not the size of the well, because you have to supply other.
Right now, it's a
products or-
type 3. Right now, it's a type 3, the small well.
Same thing as what was before,
That's what it was before.
no change.
Okay, and one other comment that I wasn't prepared to say, but I will now. I'm very disappointed in the township board today. There's been 2 requests, one direct and one indirect. One was the annual meeting, which was not discussed openly in any open meeting that you were not going to do that. And another request was for the meeting that was called by Paula to have communication between the board and the people in this township. And you've rejected both of those opportunities today. Shame on you. I request that in writing, please.
I'm Cindy Fisher. I have a question regarding the 10% of the electorate to sign a petition in 30 days. If those signatures are collected, that would force
Special election.
a special election. Okay. How much is it? The resolution was at the most 3%.
$1,477.47.
And what is the cost of a special election?
Oh, I don't know
Approximately.
exactly. I know it's the cost of the printing of the ballots, the cost of doing the machine, it's the cost of labor for those to run the election.
School board election is $5,000. So,
Yours is larger though. Yeah, you've got more districts and more, and the cost of the, so I don't know exactly.
I mean, would it
I'm
be
thir-
near?
three- Maybe 3,000?
So the special election could actually cost more than the raises. And then at that election, we could vote for you to get the raises anyway. Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure I had that.
Good evening. First of all, I think I can help you with that well thing. I went through that decades ago. The state apparently has mandated that you put a well down, a water system, specifically because of the proposed wastewater plant, correct?
It's not the state, it's the
Well,
local health.
the health department,
Health
yeah,
department,
which is.
yeah.
But there was gonna be a well anyways,
Right.
we're just moving it.
That's fine. It's going to be owned by the township. And Brian Thurston
Who's
from the
gonna be
DEQ will most likely be your rep. But, and what we did, we had the water system, then we had private individuals connect to it, added to the budget, but it will belong to the township. Okay, last thing, question for Mr. Waldron. If there's a default on the federal loan, is the township as a whole responsible for repayment?
Not under my understanding, no.
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, they do.
Robin, I'm concerned about the budget approval. When, usually the annual meeting approves the budget.
No.
Immediately after, there's a
Immediately
special
after.
meeting.
The
Okay,
special
it's
meeting
not the
after.
Right.
So therefore,
We have to-
when will the special meeting for the budget be done?
Be at the next
Well,
one.
it has to be
It's-
before the 1st of July.
Yeah, before that Friday. So after our budget, workshop,
Well, we quite often do it in our July meeting up to that,
right, yeah,
so I guess we'll have to discuss that
at
at
the
the
June,
June meeting.
yeah.
So at the June meeting, there will be a date, you will
Yeah.
get a date for the budget.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott Swanson, I will say my name, but you did that. Who made the decision on not having a annual meeting, when was that decision made?
As part of I think it's part of the process of last year's annual meeting.
So when did you
You
realize
don't,
that
if
was
the
case?
board, I don't, it just wasn't scheduled.
Yeah, when did the board decide not to schedule it?
I was waiting for somebody to ask me to schedule and nobody did. I'm talking about my board members. I wasn't going to bring it up, Scott, because I
Say,
had
Scott,
no
I called
desire to
on,
have one.
we're, like I said, people don't have them. I mean, we're the last, and there's only
I
two
have
things you
been-
can,
Who you called who?
they call different townships, and it's called MTA.
So was there discussion among the board members about that then?
No,
I didn't
I wanted to know, what I wanted to know.
I
if
didn't
it's
know
on-
until tonight.
Well,
You don't have to make a motion,
Yeah.
Scott, if there's not a motion for it,
yes, so let me,
Then
let
you
me
don't
discuss
have
this.
to.
You act when you choose not to act. That's the bottom line. So you made that decision.
for myself I did, you're right.
So the board has made the decision not to have an annual meeting and to grant themselves raises. That's where that's at. I mean, the bottom line, that's the reality. That gives me the answer to the question I need there. Mr. Morris asked some questions last month, and I'm still kind of curious about that. He talked about the 40-year loan payback, and he raised the issue that you would be buying new, some of that stuff has, I'm gonna say, wears out prior to 40 years. There's a question of, will we be buying new things while we're still paying off the old things? Have you guys looked into that at all or not?
It's that R&R fund, replace and repair fund that you have to build into your O&M.
So
You will
that's,
be, the things will wear out and you have to replace stuff.
Within that 40 years,
Yeah.
we're still paying back the loan, okay. Well, what's the timetable for the sewer system now? I mean, Craig, you said there's no timetable on the ordinance. At one time, you guys said you were gonna be digging in March of 2013, and obviously that hasn't happened. Do you have any notion now?
Just, no,
Okay.
hopefully soon.
Have you given any more consideration of bidding out the operations of the plant? I mean, you and I talked about that at the ordinance meeting, or do you plan on talking about that again at the next
I
ordinance
think we'll
meeting?
talk about that at the ordinance meeting, and there has been no discussion amongst the board that I know of.
Have you heard anything from your bond counsel as far as reviewing the proposal that you have to bond on that? Have you had any
Well, we
conversations?
don't have any I mean, we don't have a bid, and I think they're waiting for bid.
And that would be the next question. Do you have any timetable on bids
Not
yet?
at this point, they're still waiting for PQ wastewater discharge, and they're waiting for.
The 2 permits on that, so that's kind of the holdup at this time?
Yep.
Okay. On Eagles Nest Road, you're looking at some scenarios. Sue, can I get copies of that tomorrow? You have, or Mike has them? It sounds like Mike has them, but you drafted.
Well, we both worked on a soup put them together, different scenarios and.
Yeah, I just like copies of them tomorrow. And under any of those
You
scenarios.
gonna stop by and pick them up?
I can,
Okay.
whatever's easiest. I can deal with them. On any of those scenarios, is there a situation where people would have more authority, a higher percentage of authority in establishing the special assessment district than they would in cost?
No, no, those that with the,
Frontage.
frontage always have to pay more.
In every scenario
special,
would,
yeah.
Would be equivalent to what their cost is gonna be?
pretty much every scenario on there would, I would
Okay.
guess.
The-
I haven't seen
It's been the same way with
The
every
sewer
road.
doesn't, and that's what irritates me about it.
No, wait a minute, I'm
What-
sorry,
what-
ask your
what-
question again, maybe I misunderstood.
No, is the authority, you'll be looking to establish a special assessment district, and they've done that in the past with road frontages. And the amount of authority you have in establishing the special assessment district, petitioning for it, is equivalent to your
No.
front footage, and your payment is equivalent to your front footage.
No, I would say under none of those scenarios, because you have backlot owners, and backlot owners by law don't have a.
If
don't have a
there's, if what
say.
you're saying, if there's a petition,
So they-
and if there's a petition,
Yeah.
and it goes by the front footage, so if those in the front petition it, more than 51% is a go.
And the backlot owners would have no say.
Absolutely
That's
not.
correct.
That's the, that's the way the,
That's the way Fisher Woods was done in
that's
Ellen.
all, that's how they're all done.
That self-evaluation guide from rural development, what's that related to?
Just in getting that loan, you had to go through this thing, do you have handicapped accessibility? I think
It was
about
brought
stuff
up
like-
last month.
Okay, I just.
Just talk about our building, yeah.
It's related to the sewer loan or the DDA loan? Both.
It's for, it'll be needed for both.
Okay, I'd like to copy that too.
If you would like to FOIA that, I would be happy to do that.
And Sanders and Zapsky Associates, how was that selected and was it bid?
It was.
Yes, it was
Rated
bid
Park.
as a matter of
Was it
fact.
out? Okay, good. And how did you do
And
that?
Rita Park selected.
Okay, did you have multiple bidders on it?
No, they were the only bidder. We solicited about 12 bids and they were the only bidder.
Okay, all I had.
Thank you, Scott. Look, Robin, you did,
Sorry,
Going
one
to the well
question I
again?
thought Scott would cover it. How much will it cost the township if Eagle Nest goes back to gravel?
I thought I heard a figure, 25 grand.
The township?
No, not 25, it cost them 25 grand, but it uses up our gravel.
Okay, so if there is no money and Eagle Nest, for any reason or whatever, could be returned back to gravel for approximately $25,000.
I don't think, that, come to think about it, they were telling me that it cost $25,000 a turnover. And I think that is what they figure, their labor and everything, if they do that.
I don't think they can charge us for.
No, they're not charging us,
That's
they're just
right,
giving us,
so it costs
it's just
the
our,
township
whatever
nothing
gravel.
but our gravel.
Yeah,
And that would be
How
the
can they use
same
our
for
gravel for
McMichael?
that's what they told us, that's what Greg
How can
told
they
me.
use our gravel?
It's,
Well, they're county roads, so they can turn it back to gravel whenever they want.
If the special assessment doesn't fix them, then they can be turned back to gravel?
That's up to them, that's no, we have,
The township has nothing to say about it
not
other
our
than,
roads.
I think that was why it was important to get this discussion going, so that at least they, knew that we were serious about Eagles Nest Road. We didn't want to all of a sudden go in there and turn it over to gravel, and we're in the process of trying to get it paved, so. Thank you. Okay.
I would like to apologize for losing my cool at whoever it was that was talking. It was not directed at any one person. It's hard to have a conversation when a whole bunch of people are, and I understand feelings are high, and I apologize.
Thank you, Chris.
I have one quick question, Mr. Ridley. Is it a township regulation to go through FOIA to get any information?
I am doing that with this because so that I know that I have proof that I'm responding. And it is, we have a policy in place for that.
All right, I just find it very unusual, but if that's the township's
Nope.
responsibility, rules.
Yep. And it's actually not very unusual at all. Chief requires a FOIA for anything as well.
After 33 years, I never had to go through that project.
Well,
process.
maybe you weren't in charge of the paperwork.
Yes, I was.
Motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
So moved. Jane supports, all in favor? Aye. Drive careful. Drive careful.
Oh, can you